Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Swapnil's Analysis, and I am Swapnil. Today we are going to discuss a very beautiful and celebrated play of Arthur Miller's, that is A View from the Bridge. A View from the Bridge is a very important play in post 1950 American drama, and even today it is considered and still performed at Broadway theaters by very celebrated and popular actors. Why? Because the play is very relevant today's time as well. So, when we study Arthur Miller, we come to know about that Arthur Miller in his initial time, his initial career, was struggling to establish himself as a writer because Eugene O'Neill and Tennessee Williams, these two names were very popular during the time of 1930s, 40s and 50s, and Miller, he was struggling to establish himself as a dramatist. So when there is an anecdote, when he saw the play of Tennessee Williams, there he realized that dialogues can be poetical. And there he realized, okay, Tennessee Williams, he has his own area. Eugene O'Neill, he also has his own area. So what should I write about? So he went back to very successful and tried and tested formula, that is of tragedy, that is of Greek tragedy. He was influenced by Greek tragedy. Therefore, there is a kind of a chorus you would find in Arthur Miller's plays. And always bear in mind that Arthur Miller, he is considered as one of the finest dramatists of America has ever produced. It is a fact that he was struggling during the early times of his career, but today Arthur Miller is the one of the most important playwright of American literature. And I would also suggest to you that while studying American drama, you must bear in mind that while Arthur Miller, Eugene O'Neill, Tennessee Williams, these three greatest dramatists, when they were writing, simultaneously there was, as far as British drama is concerned, George Bernard Shaw, he was also writing. John Galsworthy, he was also writing. So while studying these two dramas, you must compare these two dramas, means British drama and American drama. Simultaneously British poetry and American poetry, British novel and American novel. So then you will understand the difference and similarity between these two forms, these two different kinds of literature. So as far as A View from the Bridge is concerned, View from the Bridge is a play about a middle class person, about a working man, about a longshoreman, about a person who is at the very lowest part of the society, Eddie, about his life. Because what we have studied in Shakespeare's tragedy, and also when we study Aristotle's poetics, that a tragic hero, he should be from the higher class of the society, because the lower class of the people, or because the people who are at the lower stage of the society, they always adhere and follow the higher class people. That was the perception or the idea of Aristotle. But in the 20th century, what happened in American society was the slavery had been abolished. It had various implications which is very rightly reflected through the plays of uh, Tennessee Williams and through the novels of William Faulkner, because these two writers, they have focused about the decline of white American families throughout their literature. Okay, so Arthur Miller, he wanted to focus upon some different aspect, because he had been accused as a communist. He has been accused as today's in terms like a left liberal. Therefore he always focused about the middle class families, because he believed that people, they would not relate in early 20th century or mid 20th century to a tragic hero who is of a higher class of the society. So due to the increasement of middle class families, therefore he wrote about middle class people, middle class heroes and their troubles, so that they could relate with these people. So Eddie and Willie, these are middle class people. They are struggling in their own personal lives. Second, Arthur Miller, he has always criticized the most beloved thing for the American people, that is American dream. So what he tried to project the different aspect of American dream, that is, not everyone gets a success, not everyone achieves his destination. Some people, they do get fail while achieving their destination. So Eddie and Willie are these two people who were running after their American dream, but they have failed. In the same play, if you observe, you would find that Rhodalpho, he was successful in achieving his American dream, while the other hand, Eddie, he is not successful. He isn't successful. So A View from the Bridge is the most beloved play of Arthur Miller's, and also the fans of Arthur Miller's, including yours truly, that the play is a very different kind of a play, where Alfieri, who is a lawyer, he is narrating the play. And the play first was published in 1955. First it was considered as one act play. Later on, Miller changed some of the plot, some of the settings, it's not in the setting in that way, some of the plot structure of the drama, and then he converted the drama into two act plays. So first act is introductory, means not many things happens in the first act. Second act is a very, means the action takes place in the second act very fastly. While you read the play, in the second act you read after one scene after another scene, and it automatically attracts your attention. You never get bored of reading these two acts. So Eddie, likewise Willie of A Death of Salesman, is a modern tragic hero who has no similarities as if we compare to Othello or Macbeth or Hamlet. Eddie is a very common man, therefore it is also called as common man's tragedy, because Miller, he wanted to focus about the common people. He wanted to show to the world that common people, they also have their own problem, but he nowhere tramples the basic form of tragedy. So likewise in this play, Eddie, although a modern tragic hero, but he is a tragic hero. So he has some qualities and also he has some flaws. So as the play opens, So see, the whole play is narrated by Alfieri, who is a lawyer and who had witnessed the things which he had observed in the Red Hook area of Brooklyn of New York. So New York in 1930s and 40s had faced with the problems of immigrants from Ireland, immigrants from Italy, and for large number there were immigrants from Italy, and that to a very specific part of Italy, that is Sicily. So Eddie here, he is a longshoreman who works in the harbor of New York, who lives in the Red Hook area, which was a slum at that time. I don't know what is that area today, because Brooklyn, as far as my knowledge is concerned, it is still a very popular destination, a very beloved area of New York, and therefore New York has its own English accent. Therefore it is also known as a Brooklyn accent. So Eddie, who lives in a Red Hook area of Brooklyn, who lives in New York, but he was also an Italian immigrant. But now, means his father was an Italian immigrant, but he is now an American citizen. So Eddie, his wife Beatrice, and the niece of Beatrice, that is Catherine, whose mother had died. Eddie, Beatrice, and the niece Catherine, they were living together. Eddie, because he considered or treated Catherine as his own daughter, therefore he enjoys a respect in the family, also of Beatrice and also of Catherine. And because of his good nature as a family man, he also enjoys the respect of his neighborhood. And so when the play begins, we are told that Catherine, she had got an offer from job offer as a stenographer from a plumbing company. She had not accepted the job offer yet. She wanted the confirmation of Eddie. Here you must pay attention to some of the invisible things of the play. Is that Eddie, he is the respected person, not only in the house but also in the neighborhood. Therefore Catherine, Eddie, he was a poor man, and Catherine, when she was offered a job, she did not jump onto that job immediately. She wanted first the permission of Eddie, that she thought that Eddie, he must give me permission to accept that job. Therefore on that very night she was about to inform Eddie about that thing, and this all things was happening before Eddie reached home. Eddie also had some news. Catherine had some news. Eddie also had some news. What news Eddie had about the Beatrice's cousins of Marco and Rhodalpho? They had arrived into New York illegally, and they are going to reach their home around 10 p.m. of that night. So when Eddie reached home, Catherine was so excited, but she was wearing short skirt, which immediately attracted the attention of Eddie, and Eddie asked her, "Why are you wearing such short skirt?" She just wanted to show Eddie, because see, in her mind, because she was very excited due to the job that had been offered to her as a stenographer. She wanted to do that job, but she simultaneously wanted the permission of Eddie. So somewhere she had thought that Eddie, he was not going to refuse, and he would definitely give her permission for that job, which she was very excited about. But when Eddie, he comes to know about that thing, he immediately refuses. No, you must complete your study, you must complete your college, and thereafter you must think about your job. And that demoralizes Catherine. Suddenly she becomes melancholy, suddenly she becomes sad, because what she was expecting from Eddie, that Eddie he would allow her to accept that job. Then somehow Beatrice convinces him that what, she is not a child. Now she is a grown-up girl. She would be 18 in couple of months, and she is very excited about that job. And you must give her permission. Why? Because she had not accepted that job, and she was just hoping for your permission. She was hoping for the consent of Eddie. See, here in the initial period of the play, dramatist is establishing the identity of Eddie, that Eddie is the most respected person. Had Eddie rejected that, or had Eddie told Catherine that no, you are supposed to complete your study, you are supposed to complete your college, and then you are supposed to join the job or accept that job, she would have immediately accepted it. Why? Because of the Eddie's respect. That is the initial, this is the establishing of the character, because even we also start respecting Eddie because of his general moral nature. Then Eddie he informs about the house, about that Rhodalpho and Marco they were arriving, that their submarines they had arrived and they would be in their house around 10 p.m. Then he warns to Catherine about the snitching. The rule or the code of the Red Hook area is informed to the Catherine that you are not supposed to snitch about, or you are not supposed to inform about the people. Because why? There were immigration officers in disguises about in search of this illegal immigrant, and the person who snitches or give information about these illegal immigrants, then the society boycotts that person. That is told to the Catherine. Then their guests they arrive, Rhodalpho and Marco. Marco is the elder brother of Rhodalpho. He is married and he has kids. On the other hand, Rhodalpho is the younger brother who is around 20 or 22, and he was kind of effeminate, who has blonde hairs, who could sing, and he was very a kind of a cute. So when Catherine saw him, she immediately got attracted towards Rhodalpho, and that did not go unnoticed by the Eddie. Eddie had some feelings towards Catherine, because here the naughty thing is that Catherine is the niece of Eddie, but not anyway blood related to him. She was the daughter of Beatrice's sister. Nowhere in the play it's overtly informed to us that Eddie he was attracted towards Catherine, but he had some feelings. He had some kind of a feelings, or that he wanted something good for Catherine, that she must live a very happy life, a very rich life, and therefore he treated her like his own daughter, but she was not his daughter. He had some feelings for her. When he saw that Catherine was attractive towards Rhodalpho, he, since that day, since the arrival of Marco and Rhodalpho, he had some kind of detestation, hatred for Rhodalpho. So they arrive, Rhodalpho also sing, he also informs, means while they were informing to the family of Eddie, Beatrice and Catherine, they were simultaneously informing to the audiences, to us, how the life was in Sicily, how life was very difficult in Sicily. It was very hard for them to survive in the Italy, Sicily, because of drought, because of no industrialization. They had no food, and literally the families, they were dying. So they had no option but to leave their hometown for a better life. And Rhodalpho, he was very clear in his mind that he always wanted to settle into the America. He always wanted to settle, and he wanted to have a beautiful life, the life he had imagined. Because in their hometown they had no jobs, there were no industries, and the land they had, there were no rain, the drought. So America was the only place for them which would guarantee them a livelihood and life. Therefore they had arrived in America. And also Marco and Rhodalpho, they were very grateful to the AD, because he had complied that okay, they can live in his house as long as they want. So Marco, initially he was very grateful. Okay, AD, you are a very great person, you have a very good heart, a very caring heart, a very benign heart. Why? Because he was taking care of Catherine, who was not at all related to him by blood. Also he was taking care of Marco and Rhodalpho, which were not his relatives. So initially he was a very good character, a very good person, a very good people who are very rare to find. So in a way he was above the average people, because very few people consider in such a way to give refuge to, or who take care of other people as their own family. So the character of AD here, it was established. So when one day AD, he returned back from his home, he come to know that Catherine, she had gone out with Rhodalpho. That hurts AD, because AD thinks that now Catherine, she was going away, because on the day of their arrival AD had read the expressions of Cathy, that she was totally smitten by Rhodalpho, by his singing, by his handsome look and by his delicate nature. Because see, the contrast here is that Marco is very masculine, very macho. On the other hand, Rhodalpho, he is very effeminate, very domesticated, very silent, very womanly. So AD thinks that Rhodalpho, he doesn't deserve Catherine, a girl like Catherine, because he is not manly. He doesn't have that manly characteristics, because he was a kind of effeminate, or you could say a kind of a gay in a way. So when he come to know that Catherine, she had gone with Rhodalpho to see the area of New York, and when they returned back, and before they returned back, there was a conversation between Beatrice and AD, where Beatrice, she says, or she questions to AD that when she was going to be his wife again. Here, for last couple of months, they had not had a sex. So she wanted that AD, he must consider her as his wife. He must treat her as her wife, because he was getting attracted towards Catherine, and that was completely also immoral and impossible. So AD, he dodges that question. He says that he wasn't feeling well, and he asks for more time from Beatrice, and Beatrice, she enters into the house. Then Catherine and Rodolfo, they arrive, and he demands that okay, he wants to have a private conversation with the Catherine, and he behaves very rudely with Rodolfo, which doesn't go right with Catherine. And then Catherine questions that why was he behaving so rudely with Rodolfo. On the other hand, Rodolfo was very polite and very peaceful with Eddie, and also respected Eddie. Eddie said he doesn't like it. Before that, two characters, they informs about Rodolfo, that how he was so effeminate, how he was so womanly, that he, while on work, he would always sing, and they used to make fun of him. On the other hand, Marco, he just does his job as like an animal. The contrast is presenting here to us. Then Eddie, he plays a trick. He informs to Catherine that Rodolfo, he doesn't love her. He just using or pretending to love Catherine. Why? First, because he wanted to stay in America permanently, and that would be possible if he marries Catherine. So he was just pretending to that as he was loving Catherine. Catherine doesn't believe him. She says, no, I don't believe you, I don't trust you. He says that you are just like a passport to him, because Rodolfo, he was an illegal immigrant. He was trying to influence the mind of Catherine. They had a fight, and Catherine, with her tears, she entered into the house. Then what happened? He wanted to show to Catherine what, that Rodolfo is not the man made for her. Because see, Eddie was married, Marco also was married, and Rodolfo was the first man Catherine had met from the outside of the society. Because Eddie always had informed her about one or the other shortcomings of the boy. So Rodolfo was the only boy about whom Eddie had not said anything when he had arrived. So Catherine, she was completely fascinated towards Rodolfo. His singing, his cooking, his look, his blonde hair, his nature, everything. And Eddie wanted to prevent that thing. So here he was thinking about one or the another excuse to influence the mind of Catherine, that okay, Rodolfo is not the right person. So towards the end of the act 1, he challenges Rodolfo in a boxing fight, and there he actually start hitting hard to the Rodolfo, and that doesn't go unnoticed by Marco. And so Marco, he was living in the house of Eddie, so he cannot attack Eddie, nor he could say anything to Eddie. So what he does, he just lift up the chair into one hand and into the air, and he challenges Eddie that he must also do the same. But Eddie could not lift up the chair by his one hand into the air. That was the symbolic event which displayed before us, or also informs us that Marco, he was stronger than Eddie. If there was a fight, if there would be a fight in future, then Marco would easily defeat Eddie in that duel. But Rodolfo, he was weaker as compared to Eddie. So here everyone realizes that Eddie, he doesn't like Rhodalpho, and Eddie, he was mad about that Catherine having some relationship with Rhodalpho, And that was the first act. While reading the first act, you must pay attention to the Beatrice, the character of the Beatrice, the dialogues of the Beatrice, and how the dramatists have built up the character of Eddie. Eddie, till the ending of the first act, he was the most respected character of the play. From the second act, the declination of the Eddie commences. His heart doesn't understand the thing that he was not going to have Catherine. Therefore, he had also met Alfieri, and he had asked that to Alfieri, who was a lawyer, that was there any way he could prevent their marriage, any way possible. Alfieri informs Eddie that no, because Catherine was 18, Rhodalpho, he was 20 or 22, so legally and constitutionally they had right to marry, and there nothing could Alfieri, means neither Eddie nor Alfieri nor the Constitution of America could do. So he must accept that knowledge, but he also indirectly suggests to Eddie that okay, there is a one chance. And what was that chance? That Eddie, he must snitch about Marco and Rhodalpho to the immigration officers. And then Alfieri said, okay, but you do not want to do that, because snitching is considered as immoral thing. That was the core of Red Hook area. That was the core of all the immigrant people. So here ends the act 1 of the A View from the Bridge, and the second act of the View from the Bridge we shall discuss that in couple of days. I will definitely be making of that video about the act 2. Meanwhile, how do you feel about my explanation? If you have liked my explanation, please subscribe to my channel. And I just want to add something, that some of the my subscribers, they have suggested me to make a video about certain poems and certain novels, but because of my very packed schedule, it is completely impossible for me to oblige to their request. But don't worry, I will definitely make videos on your request, not late but sooner. So please do not worry about that.